5 days before the Republican Senate primary in the great state of Delaware, the campaign of the Tea Party-endorsed candidate Christine O'Donnell got a big boost this afternoon when she won the endorsement of Sarah Palin. Former Governor Palin today made official what was before merely a retweet of a Christine O'Donnell tweet. She called into Sean Hannity's radio show and endorsed Ms. O'Donnell. Does that give Christine O'Donnell a shot at this Senate nomination, even though she's running against a veteran Republican Congressman, Mike Castle, who has never before lost an election, even though the full Oppo machine of the Republican Party is operating on all cylinders to help Mike Castle win and to keep Christine O'Donnell from doing so, even though her previous claim to fame before she became a perennial candidate was as an activist so committed to sexual abstinence that she hoped to convince America that not only should no one have sex outside marriage, no one should ever have sex alone, I guess is the way to put that, ever. In this year, with Sarah Palin's endorsement, with a bunch of money from the Tea Party group that helped knock off an incumbent Republican senator in Alaska last month, could Christine O'Donnell actually beat the establishment Republican in this Senate primary? And would you think that was more or less likely if I told you that her campaign manager is the guy who ran this campaign, too?
And I would impeach him. And if that's not enough, some of you men own taverns. Sam, you are a brewer. Mr. President, a distiller. You know how tough it is to run a small business without a tyrannical government on your back. Today, we have an internal revenue service that enforces what they call a progressive income tax. You'll love this. Every year, if not every quarter, we're basically required to spy on ourselves, report what we earn, who we hire and fire, with an all-powerful separate court system. Without representation, they can increase taxes, add costly regulation, or perform malicious audits. Now, this same IRS is going to force us to buy health insurance, cram it down our throats, or else. Now, I took an oath to defend that with my life. Now, I can't stand by while these evils are perpetrated. You gentlemen revolted over a tea tax. A tea tax! Now look at us. Are you with me?
Gather your armies.
That guy didn't win on July 13th, but the guy who did that ad for his campaign, now running the Christine O'Donnell campaign in Delaware. Helping us now gather our armies is the Washington editor of The Nation, MSNBC contributor, and frequent guest host of this program. Hi, Chris Hayes. How are you?
Hey, Rachel Maddow. I'm great. How are you?
Oh, well, spooked. I'm a little spooked out.
I'm gathering my armies.
Is Mike Castle the next Lisa Murkowski? Does this Palin endorsement mean that Christine O'Donnell has a shot?
Well, I would like to say no, but I mean, people have been made fools of who have said no to the answer to that question. I mean, there's this old saying, right, about any district attorney can indict a ham sandwich. Like, this is the question of, like, can the Tea Party nominate a ham sandwich? Like, can they just take anyone and turn them into a legitimate candidate for the United States Senate? Because that's pretty much what we're dealing with here. We're kind of this is a perennial candidate. This is someone who lost the largest margin the last time she ran against Joe Biden, but she lost by 40 points. This is someone who's kind of a career ne'er-do-well. I mean, she doesn't have anything that if you looked at her Wikipedia page or knew anything about her, you would think she would be a contender for a United States Senate seat. And yet here we are. And who knows going down the stretch? I don't think she's going to win, but it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Does the fact that the Republican establishment really is firing on all cylinders against her,
they are.
Does that actually give her more...
Totally.
It's like sort of judo power in terms of coming as an anti-establishment candidate from the Tea Party side?
Yeah, I mean, I think that so much of Tea Party identity revolves around this kind of very tribalist sense of victimization, that they, capital T, are out to get us. That is the entire thrust of every utterance that comes out of Sarah Palin's mouth. She has made a political career as being the victim of some nebulous elite other, some liberal other. And so when Christine O'Donnell goes on the radio and says, they're stalking me and they're trying to stake out my apartment and now they're filing an FEC complaint against me, that just stokes the flames of that sense of embattledness that has been the kind of driving force of this whole political movement.
If Christine O'Donnell does win the primary, does that mean the seat goes Democratic in the general election?
Well, I mean, I think she is a pretty weak general election candidate. It is a blue state. It's not, super, super blue, but it's a blue state. And I think that the Republican Party is making a fairly good political calculation strategically that Mike Castle is a much, much stronger candidate in the general election, and in fact is probably going to win if he gets this nomination. I think it really does throw it wide open, and it's hard for me to imagine her taking the Senate seat from the state of Delaware. But I say that as someone who has been continuously astounded by the kinds of people that have been nominated this election cycle. So I don't want to have to come back here in November eating my words and watching the swearing-in ceremony of Christine O'Donnell, United States Senator.
The longer the primary season goes on, the more astounding the nominees have been getting. So this is amazing. Washington editor of The Nation, Chris Hayes, thank you very much for being here, sir.
Great to be here.
Okay, still ahead?
I have been a Republican in times good, and I have been a Republican in times bad.
What may be the greatest, fastest, loudest, most tense campaign stump speech ever?